In this lesson, we're going to create a purchasing report inside of CSD Analytics. To get started, after logging into your tenant, use that waffle menu or the navigation menu to open CSD Analytics from your list of applications. From the landing page, the next thing we need to do is open Visualizer to get started. So the top left of CSD Analytics, we're going to click on that global navigation menu or their hamburger menu, and we're going to select Visualizer from our list. Once CSD Analytics opens, you're going to notice a list of subject areas that are listed on the left-hand side. From that list, we're going to select Purchasing. The first thing we add is our measures. Select Measures. And then from our list, we're going to select Header. From the list of choices, we're going to select our ordered amount, and then we're going to select Entered. From here, select Sum. Notice that when we add our sum, it tells us that we're selecting it from our subject area of purchasing. It's a measure. It's from our purchase order header, and then it identifies some of the other information. So we're analyzing this by POEH ordered amount, which is when it was entered. So it is a POEH, which is our table, and our entered date. And notice it identifies it that we've selected the aggregation of sum. Now that we have our measure added, we can change our visualization from a chart maybe then to a table. To do that, go to the top right and then select the Change Visualization button, and we can change our guided mode to any one of the selected. We're going to use table. Now that we have it in a table format, we see a total value of our total ordered amount. We can now add additional measures if we want, or we can go back to purchasing and add our attributes. I'm going to go back to and use the same container of header, and I'm going to select our purchase order details. This gives us a list of those attributes that we can select from to add to our report. As I mouse over them, you'll notice the same thing that we had in measures. It's identifying what subject area it's in, it's purchasing, that it's an attribute, that it's also coming from our purchase order header, and that it's coming from POEH.PONO, which is our POEH is our table, and PONO is that field. So when we add those, I can just click on that and it adds them to my report. I can continue to add multiple attributes as we go through those. I can add a vendor ID number, maybe my vendor name. I can add a stage code description, and maybe I want to add the entered date. So now I have listed all of my columns that I want to include in my report. We can do, there's a few things we can do. We can change how many values that we're actually seeing in our report. As of right now, we're only seeing 100 values. Those are the top 100 records. To change that, you click on that. You can enter your own value. You can select a different value, right? I've selected all values, so I'm getting all 282 records that are inside of CSD, my tenant. I can rearrange my columns. So maybe I want to put I can rearrange my columns, and I can format my columns. I can also rename some of my column headers. We can also group by particular fields and change our width of fields. So first, let's rearrange in the order of the columns that we want to review our report in. So I'm going to want to maybe make my vendor name and number in the beginning of my report. Okay, I'm going to put those together. So I'll have my vendor ID and my vendor name. Those are now together. Maybe the next thing I want to include is my stage. And maybe I want my order amount right in the middle, right? So I'm going to put that right before my my enter date, and then maybe my PO and suffix number just at the end. So I'll put my PO number before my suffix, and I can very easily rearrange those as according to however I want to do that. I can also rename columns. So I can rename this, right? It says our stage code description. Maybe I don't want it to say description. So I just double click in that field and I can just delete or rename those columns as I want to add them, right? I'm going to just call it stage code and I click the check, and you'll notice that we were able to rename our columns. I can group and sort by columns as well. If we want to group by columns, click on that down arrow and it's select break by. So this is going to create a group based on my ID number and that vendor name. So now I have my vendor number with the vendor name, which is exactly the same. So maybe we can delete that. I can delete that in more than one way. I can drag that column from my report. When I select it, I can drag it off to delete it. I can also select that column and I can delete it that way. So now I have my vendor ID number, my stages, and the order amount and dates. If I want to format how my order amount formats, we can force it to have multiple decimals or format them so they are all exactly the same. To do that, in our report, we're going to select under the columns, we're going to select order amount, and when that view shows up on the left, we're going to change our data formatting for that column. So I can force it to always have 2 decimals for all of our values. Notice when I change that, it changed our values to always include a decimal, whether there were cents on things or not, right? If I change it to 3, it's going to do the exact same thing. So we're going to change it back to 2. Right now I have that dates that are in there how I want them. We can also change how your dates view. So to do that, we're going to click back on our enter date, and then we can change how the date format for our dates. So our default is month, day, year, right? If you want to change it to a different format, right? We can change it to the date, the name, October, and then the year. So you have some choices of how you can reformat your dates accordingly. It also gives you kind of an example of how they will display, right? Once we get it formatted accordingly how we like it, maybe we only want to identify by a particular stage. We can filter the same way we were able to sort. I can click on that down arrow and I can filter this way. I can go over to my report and I can grab that stage code, and I can drag it down here to filters. If I drag it over there, right, you're going to get a list of our stage codes that are available. I can say maybe I only want to see the stuff that has been ordered and maybe acknowledged. So when I click apply, right, it's going to change how my report shows those information. So now I am grouped by my vendor number. I'm filtered by my stage code, but they're kind of a little bit out of order. So maybe I want to make sure we're sorting then next maybe by my enter date. So I can click on the up and down arrow, which allows me to sort ascending or descending. So clicking on it once changes it to sort ascending. Clicking on it a second time will change it to descending. clicking on that a third time removes our sort. So I'm gonna sort descending. So I'm gonna click on it twice. So my newer versions, my newer purchase orders will show on the top, and then by my purchase orders. If I want to sort by date and then by purchase order, if I sort by a purchase order next, it's going to remove my original sort, right? So now I have to go back and change that over. So I'm going to remove those over. So I'm going to do that, we can drag those off. So first we're going to sort descending. To add a second sort, we need to drag that purchase order number, this PO, down to my sort. So we're going to select that in my columns, and I'm going to drag it down to my sort. And you're going to notice that now it's listed in my view. We can change how things are also sorting, right? Now it shows us that we have two sorts that are applied. We're sorting by enter date descending. We're sorting by our purchase order ascending. So our older ones first, or numerically. So now I'm able to, now that that's done and I've got it exactly how I want it, now I can save my report. To do that, click on your save button. When we click on the save button and it says untitled, it will prompt us to save it in a location. If it already has been named, it will automatically just save it. So I'm going to click save, which will prompt me to select a location. There may be several reports or folders listed. There is a folder called Infor. We do not save our custom reports into the Infor folder. We don't want Infor to ever write over those. So let's create our own custom folder. So I've already created a custom folder here, right? And I'm going to go, I have a purchasing reports here, but I can also create another report. So you can create several reports or several folders inside of other folders. So I'm going to create another one. We're going to call this one new POs. And I'm going to say create my folder. It's going to create my folder. I'm going to select it. And now it prompts me to name it. So I'm going to say open POs. Okay. And I save it. Now that it's saved, we can add this report to a dashboard or collection inside of CSD Analytics.